And again, it's the Art Lewis Show without Art this morning. He was with us for a little while this morning with our special giveaway that was going on. The free potatoes and the chips, which, by the way, is done. That was just this morning. It was in association with the promotion of the upcoming Munger Potato Festival next week, and we're having fun with the volunteer firefighters from Munger and the Potato Festival folks. So we hope that Art is doing okay, can rest up and get back tomorrow. In the meantime, we're scrambling into an open phones situation at 989-752-6111, 989-752-6111 for your phone calls. Last hour, we're having a little conversation related to the JFK assassination here in 2025, because in the last 24 hours, some potentially, quote-unquote, new information came out about the CIA actually having a relationship, knowing about, being engaged with Lee Harvey Oswald after all these years of denying it. Apparently it's something new with some of the documentation that had been released from earlier this year, and so we kind of tossed it out and had some good phone calls on that. We can continue that or whatever you'd like on your open phones. Before we do that, before we get to our phone calls, and we'll get to them in just a moment, I'm here with Jonathan Dent, who is chiming in. We appreciate, Jonathan, you working with us.
Hello, hello.
We should address something, though, a phone call that you took off the air, because it's a reminder that we need to continue to ask our listeners for some of the patience and understanding, as we are still having some impacts of some equipment failures that we are in the process of solving, but it's never as easy as just, take care of that, and we're over and done with it.
Yes. Plug it back in.
No, it's not a reboot. It's equipment, it's parts, it's analysis, and more. But it has caused some disruptions in some of our programming, and we appreciate your patience and understanding as we are doing our best to get us back to where we're supposed to be. But in the meantime, making one more point about that, and I never thought about this, but Jonathan, you took an interesting phone call off the air that I thought would be something that we should address for a moment here.
Yeah.
I never thought about this.
But I know people do it.
Oh, yeah.
So, had a caller who asked about the delay in the Tigers game because of the workaround we have to use in order to keep the Tigers on the air. We're running a little over a minute later than we normally would, which apparently causes us to be, before we would be ahead of the TV broadcast, and now we're after it. So, yes, that's just a result of kind of the process we need to do to keep the Tigers on the air while we get this satellite thing fixed.
That's amusing.
Yeah.
I listen to the Tigers on the radio, not just because it's our radio station. I just love the Tigers on the radio. I grew up that way. Certainly would watch on TV. I don't have access to see the Tigers on TV. I'm not paying for it.
Me neither.
But I understand for people that do enjoy watching, but listening to Dan Dickerson, especially doing the play-by-play, and who's ever with him, like Bobby Scales, or could be Dan Petrie or whatever on the radio side. But yeah, you're right. Instead of being ahead, we are now behind. So, because for a lot of people, they would listen to pay attention, and if something exciting happened, they knew they had...
Let's go over and look at the TV, see what happens.
We'll watch what's going on. Yeah. So this is a direct reversal. So now you have to watch the TV to see if there's something exciting going on, then you go to your radio to listen to it.
You can hear Dan Dickerson call it.
Yeah, you can hear him describe it. Well, we appreciate our caller for bringing that up, and again, your patience and understanding we appreciate as well, whether it's the Tigers or some of the other programming that it's frustrating for you and for us. I'll leave it at that. Mike is shouting in from Thomas Township in the Art Lewis Show here. Let's get Mike, and thanks for holding on. Mike, good morning to you, sir. What's going on?
Thank you. I had a few comments I wanted to make about Kennedy. Some of your listeners may or may not be aware of some of the things. First off, I want to start off by when I got down to Fort Bragg, North Carolina, to start my Special Forces training, I was informed that Kennedy had just been there recently, and the guys all turned out with Green Berets on, and he liked it so well, he made it a presidential order that they would have Green Berets, because the Army, the War Department, didn't like to have special outfits with anything, like that, and so they made them get rid of the berets. Well, when I was there, they always had berets. And then another thing along that same line is you have to earn the Green Beret. They always have that in the Ballad of the Green Beret, which you played yesterday.
Yeah.
Where 100 men will test today, only 3 will win the Green Beret. I was always proud of that. But there were 2 people that were awarded the beret that didn't go through the training. One of them, of all people, was Martha Ray. Martha Ray adapted the Green Berets, and I forget how many tours she did over in Vietnam, because she was a nurse. So she would work in the battlefield aid stations, and so she was one of the civilians that was authorized to wear a Green Beret. And then John F. Kennedy, because he's the one that got him back the Green Beret, and so on his grave there was a Green Beret. I don't think they do it anymore, but I know when I went down to Arlington, why they still were doing it. That was not very long after I got out of the Army back in the 60s. So, but anyway, so I always thought that was pretty neat.
It is.
And then John F. Kennedy was an advocate of special forces, meaning the Green Berets and then the SEALs, and he did a presidential order that extended monies for them so that they could expand their operations. And so he was one of my favorite presidents. He was the first president I ever voted for, and I tend to be conservative, but he would have been a conservative Republican right now if he had lived. But I do remember I was watching a TV show. I was working the night shift at Steering Gear, and I was watching Wagon Train, and I was right in the middle of where they had buried a guy. He was a fur trapper, and they buried him. They thought he was dead, and he was his arm was just coming out of the grave, and they went away, and they mentioned about the assassination, and so I never did see the end of that show, but it was kind of along I think it was Irreverent or whether that one show was along that same line, the same guy. I think it was Glass was his name. I think but he was a tough old bird.
Yeah, you have to find it on one of those cable channel reruns, one of those streaming reruns. I'm sure it's still existing at some point, someplace today.
I'm sure. I haven't watched it. Well, you can watch it on one of the public broadcasting systems.
Oh, yeah.
Reruns of it, but it didn't mean that much to me. The fact that they broke in was absolutely awesome, but a lot of people did complain, kind of like the Heidi deal when it was a football game, I guess it was, and they broke away and
interrupted an exciting ending of the football game, which is why they don't interrupt it anymore.
No, but which is I guess nice, but and then they have released some information lately, like the third shooter or the grassy knoll, or second shooter, I should say, and so some of that stuff is getting released, but it's kind of everybody knew it already, because when you've seen the actual photographs of him in the car, when you can't bounce forward. If you get hit in the front, you bounce back, and that's what he did. So it was kind of evident to a lot of the people, but I don't know why they just keep on. I think like Carl said, and one of the first times I think I've ever agreed with Carl in my whole life was when he mentioned that to cover their butts, because I'm sure there were some things that were mistakes were made and things like that. Kind of like what happened with Trump and Butler. There's just so many things that are weird, and I don't know why they feel they're obligated to cover that up. And I guess they think that we're too stupid to be able to handle the truth.
Well, there you go. Oh boy, there's your great movie line. You can't handle the truth. I mean, is that what the?
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
I think over the years of this country's existence, there's been a lot of very difficult truths that we've had to handle, and I think we've handled most of them. Sometimes it's not easy. Sometimes it's led to some unpleasant situations, but we're pretty good at that when it comes to this country. Mike, appreciate.
I'd like to have the government more open with the people. I mean, yeah, there's going to be some people that are going to be not like to hear it, but I just think truth is better than fiction.
100% agree. Mike, appreciate your call. I got to take a break. We got a couple more calls that are holding on. We'll get to in just a moment here on WSW and the Art Lewis Show. And the truth shall set you free. Is that the cliche? Even though look in your own lives, though. Be honest. There are times that, and you can figure them out. And hey, especially when it comes to your kids sometimes. I'll always be truthful with my kid. Yeah, well, then you have kids, and then you find out that sometimes it's not easy to always be 100% truthful. But that's another story, maybe. We'll be right back with more on WSW.
Jeff Gronsky here with AutoBrite.
I'm Charles Payne, and this is the Fox Business Report.
The Consumer Price Index rose 0.3% in June from May, up just 0.2 for core CPI, excluding food and energy. For the year ending in June, the CPI was up 2.7%, and the core reading was up 2.9%. Though readings are slightly higher than previous CPI reports, the numbers matched or were not as severe as economists were predicting. Big banks, J.P. Morgan Chase, Wells Fargo, Bank of New York Mellon, and BlackRock all reported mostly upbeat earnings for the spring quarter. Albertsons reported a better than expected quarter. Online shopping is still in demand. Digital sales were up 25%. And NVIDIA will resume shipping artificial intelligence chips to China, specially produced to meet U.S. national security concerns. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Ginny Cosola. Invested in you.
Following Fox's initial donation to the Kerr County Flood Relief Fund, our generous viewers have answered the call to action across all Fox platforms and have helped raise $6.5 million. Visit go.fox/TX Flood Relief to support relief and rebuilding efforts.
This message comes from
All right, Art Lewis Show, Charlie Rude, Jonathan Dent helping along too. And you with your phone calls at 989-752-6111. We're kind of doing open line as Art was ready to come to work and then wasn't doing well. So many of the calls based on something that we brought forth in the first hour. It's kind of carried into the second hour. You can still carry it if you want. Don't have to. JFK's assassination. Just a real quick recap. It was in the last 24 hours. I noted that some quote-unquote new information came forth, and I saw this. And there are many articles. I happened to catch this from the Washington Post, Tom Jackman, and it has to do with some revelations coming out that the CIA was more connected to Lee Harvey Oswald than ever thought, than ever admitted, to the point where a lawmaker who chaired the House Oversight Committee into the investigation into some of the released documents said the CIA was lying to the American people and that there was a cover-up. That's their words. And there's also in this article a senior U.S. district judge who chaired the Assassinations Review Board back in the 1990s, who says we are getting closer to the truth about Oswald and the CIA, but I do think there is more to come. I think this, again, from a judge from the 1990s. And then there's another quote from a CIA counterintelligence agent who says, this looks a hell of a lot like a CIA operation. So the fascination continues. Will we ever know? I don't know. But I appreciate your perspective and thoughts, which can continue with that or other things you'd like to mention as well. Susan from Bay City, you've been hanging on patiently. We appreciate that. Susan, good morning to you.
Good morning. I really like Bill O'Reilly, and I read his books, and he presents you with the facts that are as they're presented, and then you draw your own conclusion. And I drew the conclusion that Hoover and LBJ were behind that assassination of JFK, because it seemed, number one, they had great disdain for the Kennedy family. They felt that they were looked down upon. They did not want him to end the Vietnam War, and LBJ really liked the fact that he moved into the president's seat, and there was a bunch of dirt that might have came out on Hoover because we all know what he was, and I think that was the conclusion I drew. I also wanted to say that my husband volunteers. He number one is a veteran, and he volunteers for a lot of veterans organizations, 130 some people at some of these organizations. And these men, they put their money where their mouths are. You know, they all serve their country, and they are ecstatic to have President Trump for our president, somebody with some guts, that we are not a laughing stock anymore, and that he is standing up for our country. And what he's doing in 4 or 5 months is just phenomenal. So that was one thing. And my other point, I'll keep you going here, was I get so angry with what's happening with the Democrats starting all the stuff against the ICE agents. We have 350,000 missing children. And, listening to your CBS News, they were talking about they had gotten a man that was basically involved with pornography. And, they've recovered over 10,000 children that were basically being used for that type of situation. These ICE agents are out there putting their lives on the line to try to bring a crime down and to recover these children. And it just really irritates me, because you can listen to the MSNBC, CNN, CBS, and that's all you hear is negativity and the fact that we are not treating these migrants correctly. But they're illegals, and they came into this country illegally. And I just get so angry, because all these cities that are protecting them and that have this, where they are safe, or sanctuary cities, they're slums. You want to see a slum, go to a sanctuary city. So that's some of the points I wanted to bring up.
I appreciate that.
What say you?
I appreciate that. Well, on those points, I would say, for what's upsetting you and what you're hearing, you need to watch more Fox News, and then you'll be okay. So I'll leave it at that, Susan, only because I have some other phone callers coming in, but I appreciate that. Jerry, you're shouting in from Bay City. Good morning to you, Jerry. What's going on?
Well, good morning. I just want to comment that I was 5 years old when Kennedy got assassinated. And over the years, I have never believed one word of the Warren Commission, whatever they put out, because after years of I'm a deer hunter, and I know I know the ballistics, and I know that when a bullet hits from the back, the trajectory of the bullet, and when the bullet hits from the front, it's a different trajectory. So I do believe the Warren Commission was nothing but a farce. And
so the question would be, if that were the case, of course, and this is the answer that we don't have now, and perhaps this is the cover-up answer, if there's a cover-up. Why did they come to the conclusion that they did, and the real reason didn't come out? If it were, let me throw this one at you, Jerry, because I think a caller mentioned it, because there have been theories over the years that, indeed, Lyndon Johnson was involved. I mean, can you think of a bigger government scandal? I mean, from some of the scandals that we've had in the government, I mean, that would be over the top. That would be over the top.
Absolutely, he was involved. Not only was he involved, so was George Bush Sr. involved.
Well, I forgot about that.
Ruby.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
There was a site that I read, and I'm pretty sure they pulled it, that there was a certain collaboration amongst certain people, and in this group was Johnson, George Bush Sr., Jack Ruby was one of them, and I believe Oswald was a patsy 100%. I don't even think he pulled the trigger.
Well, and for all that was going on, as much as what was happening with the assassination of the president, then here's Jack Ruby killing the assassin. I mean,
right.
on live TV. I mean, that just, so, and that's not...
What better
way to hush something? Yeah.
Exactly. What better way to, and because of Kennedy's proposals to end some of the military contracts and to cut out some of these people's income of this collaboration is one of the reasons they did not want to end this. They wanted to continue making money through these military contracts. So, yes, it was a collaboration.
Right. Jerry, thanks for your input and your call this morning. We got to leave it there for a break. And I will say, but the perspective for you and for others that are calling in, compared to what you could read and discover from those who think opposite and believe the Warren Commission for that matter, this is why I think it continues that we're still having this conversation in 2025. Ultimately, does anyone really know 100%? And is there any document, is there any evidence that would satisfy to 100% the ultimate solution, the ultimate solving of the assassination? I don't know.
Hey, friends, this is Jim Tyson
For me to talk about being in school, since I hated school, I didn't do well in school, well enough to graduate. But the only thing I ever recall about the assassination of John F. Kennedy was that it was Lee Harvey Oswald.
Yeah.
I was going to say, do you recall any of your schooling that when you were learning American history and the assassination of...
Well, I think that's kind of where my interest in the situation surrounding it comes from, is when I was in school, it was Lee Harvey Oswald, but here's all the things that happened after, just before and just after the assassination, and here's the political movers and shakers that were in positions and changed positions and stuff like that afterward.
You see, I don't recall that. And if it were, it was never to the degree of, what was going on?
And it wasn't taught like that, but it was kind of one of those, okay, here was the situation, Cuban Missile Crisis, all of that stuff leading up to.
Yeah.
And then kind of the tone changed afterward, in a way.
See, now for me, it would have been, I'm learning about it a decade after it happened.
Yeah.
10 years old and 73 and beyond there. So it would have been, I guess, fresh still and maybe still accepted. Well, the Warren Commission didn't come out until 8 years after. But, you wonder as the years go on and more that's taught, more of this information comes out. Now what's history being told if the talk about a presidential assassination?
Yeah.
Here's what the Warren Commission said and here's what everyone else said. I'd like to be a teacher trying to figure that out.
Think about it. Just 10 years after it happened, the conversation about the 2016 election is going to be different now.
Yeah.
We're 9 years after it. It's going to be a way different conversation now than it will be in 30, 40 years.
Good point. You'll have to let me know how that goes. I won't be around it. I'll miss that conversation. Oh, let's continue our conversation. Gene is in Bay City. Gene, thanks for holding on. Good morning to you, Gene.
Hi, it's nice to hear your voice.
Oh, that's very kind. Thank you.
I'm going to switch to an entirely different subject.
Sure.
The government is spending a big chunk of money on putting roads back into our national forests. And the reason is because businessmen are going to go back in our forests and cut down trees for the lumber. Now, for one thing, those trees belong to the American public. And when the businessmen sell the lumber, they're going to be charging a higher price than what builders have been paying Canada for their lumber for the last few years. So these businessmen selling the lumber from our trees at a higher price is going to make new homes more expensive.
So this is being done on public lands, you're saying, Gene, not private lands or anything owned like that?
Not from our national forest.
From our national forest.
Which belong to all of us. And these businessmen are getting as far as I know, they're getting these trees free. But they're going to be charging a higher price for the lumber, which is going to cost more to build houses. Because Canada was selling us lumber that was actually cheaper than what we can produce ourselves here. And that's why the builders were buying from Canada, because it was so much cheaper. But now the cost of building houses is going to go up because these businessmen are going to be making a big profit off of trees that belong to the American public in the first place.
I will have to look into that. I had not been paying attention, or I didn't recall hearing anything about that, so I will check.
Well, I wonder if the average taxpayer, the average American, is happy with things like this happening. The taxpayers paying for those roads to go back in the forest in the first place. In the second place, they're cutting down trees that belong to the American public, and that's going to cost more for houses to be built because the businessmen want to make a profit, so they're going to be charging more for the lumber. So the price of new houses is going to go up.
Well, I tell you what, I'm marked that down, Gene, and I will have to look into it because, as I said, I had not heard or paid attention, maybe if the story had come up, but I'm going to have to do that. In the meantime, I appreciate your call, but I'm going to move on because I got a couple more calls I want to squeeze in here before we run out of time, but thank you. So we're going to shift over to Wheeler. And Jim is shouting in from Wheeler. Jim, good morning to you.
Good. I'm glad you got to me right after Jean. She's 100% wrong about them getting them for free. They have to bid. They